Hello everyone, I'm Lambert. I'm still accompanied by Vincent Repay for this fourth webinar regarding adapting the product and the service to the foreign market. Before we start, classical question, some polls to answer. The first poll is, did you attend the previous seminar about the distribution channel? And this is something that we would like to know to focus the speech of Vincent today. We are 60% that have followed the 65% now. Okay, that's nice. You follow us every time for a vast majority of you. Second poll is, do you think your product need adaptation to be sold abroad? This is our second poll, and you are quite convinced. You're quite convinced. 63% of you are convinced they have to adapt product or services to foreign markets. And the last poll before we start, I launch it here now. Do you think you really need to take in account what the clients expects, what the foreign clients expects? You are 100% to believe it, so you're quite good in selling, in trying to sell abroad. And I will pass the floor to Vincent. We'll make one pause at the middle of the presentation. Vincent will show you information on EU websites, and therefore, if you have questions, please don't wait the end of the seminar to shoot your question. Don't wait for the pause to shoot your question, but ask them directly so that Vincent can give the explanation that you need when he visits the website. Vincent, the floor is yours. We see your slides, and have a great seminar.
Thank you, Laurent.
So maybe you should put your slide in full screen.
That is.
Okay, nice.
Okay, everybody see it?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. So, welcome this afternoon for the fourth seminar. So, are your products and services ready for sale abroad? So, this is a very complicated question because usually, let's say, people who want to sell are, of course, commercial people. And what they are, the first focus is what the consumer or what the clients are expecting from the products. So they are really focused on marketing. They are really focused on consumer trends. It is, of course, important because if you have no clients or no consumer, you cannot sell your products abroad. But that's not the only matters to take into account. And if you are only taking this into account, you will feel uncomfortable because at a moment, the reality will come to you. So, if goods and or services, because you can sell goods alone or services alone, or you can have a combination of both. So if your product and services are for other countries of the European Union, it is a well-known advantage because there are some common rules inside the European Union. just to draw your attention, let's say United Kingdom exit the European Union last year, and that was not a big problem because till the 31 of December, they are still following the rules of the European Union. But if there is no agreement by Sunday, the 1st of January, that's not anymore European Union rules that will apply. And from one day to the other, you will have some wars between the trade of the European Union and the trade of the United Kingdom. So the fall of the Berlin Wall was in one night, but the building of the wall between European Union and United Kingdom, if there is no agreement, can be in some seconds. Let's say you are before, that's the rules of European Union. You are the 1st of January at 1 o'clock, at 1 minute past midnight. That's the new rules that are coming into force. So we have inside European Union the big advantage that we have some common rules generated by European Union and that apply to each country of the European Union, still till the 31 of December of UK also. But take care, there are some national specificities. So the things are not 100% common. There are some, let's say, adaptation according to the country. Why? Because simply we don't speak English in the whole European Union. So each country has one or several language, and therefore some rules for this. So if goods and all services are for a country outside the European Union, it is then mandatory to take care of the rules of Belgian customs. Be aware that when you want to sell goods outside European Union, the first step is to succeed to exit European Union, and to exit European Union, you have to do some operation, customs operation, customs clearance, export customs clearance at the Belgian customs authorities. And this is linked, the level of controls are linked, of course, with your goods, but also the specific country where you send the goods. For most of the goods, that's not a big issue. For most of the country, that's not a big issue, but for some goods and or some countries, there are some very strict rules, meaning that you cannot export what you want. We will come later on this. This is to exit Belgium, but of course you will have to enter in the country of destination. So at the entrance in the country of destination of your goods, there will be a customs control to enter this country. And this customs control is, of course, to receive the taxes that are due on importation, but also to control the products. So specificity of a product and services have always to be taken into account to match with the targeted market. This involves product composition, but also service compliance with the local practice for the service. So now we are inside European Union, and our first topic will be for the products. So delivering product inside European Union, you have to know your product, to know your packaging, to know what is around your product. So if a product is sold in Belgium for the moment, it cannot be sold as such in another European Union country. I give you some examples. Some of them I already talked about in some of the previous seminars. So excuse me if you heard twice, I have other to give you. So one of the big problems, for example, is the return of empties for packed products. So for example, in the Netherlands, plastic bottles are consigned in the Netherlands, meaning that if you sell in the Netherlands some beverage inside plastic bottles, according to the kind of plastic bottles, you are obliged to take it back by the law in the Netherlands. There are some rules like this also in Germany. And in Germany, but as well in Estonia, you have to do the same for cans, for some of the cans. So you send cans of beers, for example, you are obliged to take it back in Estonia. This sometimes you can see it on products abroad or some products that are coming in Belgium that were not originally, let's say, made for the Belgian market, but you see this on it. So here I speak about the packaging that the client have in hands. There are some other rules that can be applied for loose packages, so your bottles will not have to come back. That's the case in Germany. If you don't want to take back your bottles, you can opt, let's say, for a packaging waste system. It's applying, of course, to your bottles if you sell beer, for example, but it applies also to the primary package, so your cases, your pallets, and so on. Pallets, there is a special system, but I mean, let's say, wooden case or cartons and so on. You cannot sell in Germany goods packed if you are not registered to a system that is called Point. So let's say I show you. A link. Of course, you can have it in English. So if one day you intend to send packed goods in Germany, you have to have a close look to this website. Because there are, in some countries, big difference towards Belgium. If we speak about Germany, in Germany, there are lots of strict controls at the retailers and so on. So if you don't comply with the German rules, you have much more risk to be kept than in Belgium. It's also available in some other countries, but let's say Germany is for Belgium a big market, not necessary for everybody, but that's really a big market. And let's say what I try to give you with my example is not what you have to follow in Germany or in the Netherlands. That's the question that you have to ask yourself and to make it answer on any European market. You would be surprised to see some very local rules and so on for things. And if you are not aware of this, you can have lots of problems. So we were speaking here about the packaging. We will now speak about the norms. So just to give you a simple example, cars have not the same specificity nor equipments all around the European Union. You take a model of car, for you see it in the streets in Estonia, in Greece, in Bulgaria, or in Belgium, that's the same. No, that's not the same. There are lots of change because they have to comply with local rules. So, for example, let's say in Belgium, some local rules make that if you have certain kind of motors, you have lots of tax on it. So this kind of motors are not sold in Belgium for such a car, but in Luxembourg, where you don't have these fiscal problems. Lots of people buying this car have this kind of motors. And it's different from country to country. So, for example, diesel cars are very well sold in Belgium, even if it reduces more and more now because of ecology. But there are some countries of European Union where you have nearly no diesel car. And if you go abroad, of course, outside European Union, this is mandatory to think about. I speak about the car for this, so you can have also some difference regarding the lights and so on, but specificity of Belgium, and if you are not a Belgian resident or a Belgian company, you never notice, it's mandatory to have an extinguisher in the car. And it has to comply with a Belgian norm, BNOR. But in most of the country, and I say inside and outside the European Union, you don't need to have an extinguisher. So if you are in Luxembourg, for example, if you go to a dealer to buy a car, your car will not have an extinguisher because that's not necessary in Luxembourg, and it is not necessary. The car maker don't do it. But in Luxembourg, for example, if you are from November till March, it's mandatory to have winter tire. So if you commercialize a car in Luxembourg, you have to equip it with winter tire. Other things where everything has to be seriously looked, that's about the health standards. So in each of the European countries, you have national health standards that apply for food, but also for medicine. So even if there are some European Union rules that are common, there are some specificity toward each and every country of European Union. So if we speak about medicine, for example, no medicine can be commercialized in Belgium. I take the example in Belgium in order that you can think. You are Belgian, you never notice this. But that specificity that are on the Belgian market. And of course, when you go foreign, if you didn't realize that in Belgium it's so also, you will never take care of what has to be done foreign. So for medicine, for example, that's, well, Belgian rules that have to be applied. I give you an example. If you take very simple medicine like aspirin and so on, in Belgium, you go to a pharmacy for this. In the Netherlands, you can find it in department store. The same apply in United Kingdom, for example, because this kind of product, a part of the medicine, can be sold without being, let's say, prescribed to you by a doctor. That's not the case in Belgium. In Belgium, when you have a medicine, even if it doesn't have to be prescribed by a medicine, you have to go to a pharmacy. Regarding the medicine also, perhaps something that you didn't notice, that's somebody producer foreign to enter the Belgian market. When you go to the pharmacy and you buy a medicine, you bear only a part of the cost of a medicine because the social security system pay the balance to the pharmacy. So the medicine has to be agreed in Belgium by an authority, and if not, it cannot be commercialized. So let's say foreign, you need to take care about the same in your sector, of course. I speak about medicine, I speak about food. So let's say if you are dealing with food, you need in Belgium some agreement from AFSCA, so that rules all the food products and some others as well. But this you have in all and every country of the European Union. What you have to take care also is about labeling content and language imposed in a country. I give you an example once again about Belgium. So to sell in Belgium, it is mandatory that your products are labeled for all the territory of Belgium. If you want to commercialize on whole Belgium, French and Dutch. If it's only labeled in French, you can only sell it in Wallonia. If it's only labeled in Dutch, you can only sell it in Flanders. In Brussels, it's mandatory to be bilingual, French and Dutch. So no product not labeled in French and Dutch can be sold in Brussels territory. In Antwerp, for example, for consumer product, it's mandatory in Dutch. What is my experience? Of a Black Friday, there was some, let's say, promotion and so on. And I was to a shop where they do promotion on some coffee products. It was bean, of course. And they do it for, let's say, 40% discount towards the usual price. But what has to be noticed, that was a product for Germany. So it was labeled in German. This kind of product is totally forbidden to be sold in Belgium. And it was really a big shop. So let's say not a small shop, that's a big shop. So they do it. Why is that existing in Belgium? Because you have less control than in some other countries. Give you an example once again. I'm busy for the moment with some consumer product in Bulgaria. So if you deliver in Bulgaria products and they are in a company without being labeled by a sticker in Bulgarian, first thing, any retailer who have this kind of product or the wholesaler, it's not labeled in Bulgarian, 10,000 euro amount to be paid because of this offense. And also, all product removed by the authority from the shop, meaning that you don't have anymore your product. Just to give you an idea, a normal salary in Bulgaria is around 300 to 400 euro in small towns and so on. So if you have 10,000 euro to pay and you don't have anymore your product, that's a disaster at that level. So of course, in that country, the retailers and the wholesaler are quite keen to respect the rules. You don't expect this from such country because for you, Bulgaria, that's an Eastern European country, and in Belgium, we never see some controls and so on, and you think that in other countries that's the same. No, each time you have to focus on the reality of the product, of the country. Finally, if you deal with foods and so on, some other product also, it's quite trendy in a commercial perspective to be bio, let's say in English, organic, but take care. Inside European Union, if you are dealing with bio or organic products, you have some rules to follow. And so if you don't follow these rules, you will have some problem with your products. So meaning that you need to give some evidence that your products are bio, and the evidence comes from your suppliers. If you have some suppliers, but if you are manufacturing yourself a product, you will have to apply for a bio certification in Belgium, and you will have to receive the appropriate certificate. And this, you can think that it's easy, but of course that's rules, and you have to go to some authorities that will send to you some surveyors and so on to attest that your company follow the rules for bio-organic products. And of course, some of your clients, professional clients, will ask you this paper. So for example, in Bulgaria, that's the case with a product I did. So that's organic product. So immediately I need to give, as we commercialize this kind of product, I need to give a paper to the authorities that we are sourcing product from a reliable Belgian company. And of course, it has to be with a certificate, and I didn't mention, but translated in Bulgarian by some people there that are recognized for translating this paper. So of course, it gives way also to cost. That will be what we will see next week. So now, let's say, I will show you, if some of you are familiar with these seminars, I already showed quickly one time, but I show it for an outside European market. And today, let's say, I will show you how to use this website for delivering inside European Union, because there are some subtleties. So here is the website, and I will take, let's say, what I did. So when you start to deal foreign, can be inside or outside European Union, first thing you have to do is to know the custom code, harmonized system code of your product. So if you never heard about this, that's something that you can find at the customs. So this website will give you also link with this. So I show you. So you don't know the code of your product, but your product, and of course I take an example very easy. So I cannot in 2 seconds or 5 minutes find the custom code of all your products if you are in specific products and so on. Even if they seem simple, that needs some time to check it. But so what I'm looking is for chocolate, and the country of origin is Belgium, and the country of destination inside European Union, Bulgaria. Normally, with this, I can have access to information. So first thing, you need to know your product. So we are speaking about chocolates. So here I have lots of kind of chocolates. So let's say in 4 figures, that's a chapter. Till 10 figures, that's a detail. And of course, you need to find what is according to your product. So for example, if you deal with pralines, that's here somewhere. And you have to know your product because, of course, there are lots of other things that are relating to chocolates. So I already give this example. So if, for example, you are dealing with white chocolates, that's not the same code. So that means that that's not necessarily the same rules in the country of destination. And at the end of the custom tariff, you have all the details here. So as we are dealing with Bulgaria, that's a country of European Union, big advantage of European Union. We are a single custom territory, and between us, we don't have any customs problem. So the code that we use in Bulgaria are the same than in Belgium. That's not the case for every country. So I come back to the product that I want to look, and let's say, as we saw some pralines, and it's typical from Belgium, we take this one. So you are now in the chocolates, including pralines, fill or not fill. So you have to know your product. So we are around here. So now there are different things because it contains alcohol or it does not contain alcohol. Why is it a different classification? Because if you have alcohol inside, you could have a problem of excise that are relating to alcohol, to cigarettes, and to petroleum products. So I will take without alcohol. And so here I have to find lots of information that I need. But in fact, I see that the VAT in Bulgaria is 20% and that there are no excise on more products. But I have only the taxes. I can have some statistics, but I have nothing else. And of course, I need to know how must be the packaging and so on and so on. Big problem of this website, if you put from a European Union country to a European Union country, you don't have the details. So let's say I do a quite tricky thing with this to have access to the information. So I simply change not a European Union country, but let's say United States. So I take United States of America, and here, of course, I find the same. Here, there are some logic about the custom duties, but we are, let's say, I take United States only to have access to some data. And the custom does not interest me because I'm inside the European Union territory, so I have no problem of this. And what I have access now is import requirements. And in import requirements, in overview, I can have lots of information regarding different topics that can be applied to some of your products. So here, for example, I would like to see the labeling that I have to apply in Bulgaria. So here, that's the labeling requirement. So that's the European Union rule. You have also all what is ecological and so on. But here now, I have the specific information for Bulgaria. And in the specific information for Bulgaria, I have the food safety and marketing standards. So let's say here, I have the equivalent of AFSCA in Belgium for Bulgaria. So I know their address, I know their website and so on. And here I have all the public bodies that can have, let's say, some action towards my product. So that's not specific for the chocolate, but I have this. So once again, I go back in the overview. And what interests me now is the packaging. So here you have all the European Union rules about the packaging. So if you've never been in touch with all these problematics and so on, you have here all the European Union literature that is common for the whole European Union. And you have here this also. And now you have the labeling at the level of European Union, also if your products are bio and so on. And now I will have the labeling for Bulgaria. So the content of the labeling must be at least in Bulgarian, at least, not only, but in Bulgarian. And they say in line with the EU legislation, there are specific provision for different types of products. So of course you have a foodstuff, and you have to put in your labeling in Bulgarian all what is mandatory by European Union that are followed by the Bulgarian. In a product, that's always interesting to see. So here, that's for importation, the document that you need. But if there are not so specific things applicable to your product. So let's say I'm with chocolates and I have some labeling of foodstuff. And once again, they refer to all the European rules. And here you have all what you have to put on a food product. So the minimum labeling that you are obliged to put. And here, once again, you have the competent authorities in Bulgaria. So let's say this European website, if you are dealing with outside European Union, we will see after the break. If you are dealing inside, it has information, but the problem, if you put the origin of a product European Union and another country of European Union, you don't have all the details. So please put a country like United States or Switzerland, and then you will have access to all this. And that's not my business to do this website. So unfortunately, I would prefer that you have directly access with the data that you fill. But as it is not possible, I give you the way to do so. So now I'm back on my presentation. We have seen this access to market for product inside European Union. So now about the services. So delivering or performing services is a more difficult reality to approach. Product, that's quite easy. Services, that's not the same. First, you have to know what is the kind of your services. So if it's intellectual services, such as consultancy, advising, feasibility study, on business-to-business basis, meaning that you invoice a European Union company with a valid VAT number. Then, with your Belgian VAT number, company registration, you can invoice your client without specific requirements. Just one thing, if you are dealing with Bulgaria and Greece, you have some withholding tax applicable for foreign supplier on intellectual services. So if you do consultancy for a Bulgarian company, for example, they will pay you 90% of the value of your invoice because they have to pay directly to the state 10% of taxes. And this 10% of taxes, that will be the same we will speak in the other country. They are, with some countries, all the countries of European Union, that's what we discuss now, there are some double taxation treaty. In fact, that's non-double taxation treaty. So if a client withholding tax from the payment of your invoice, he has to give you a paper from the foreign tax authorities of its country. And with this paper, taking into account that you have to pay enough taxes in Belgium, let's say at least the amount that was withheld by your client, it can be deducted from your Belgian taxes. But it means that if you have no profit because you are a young company, or your company does not make a lot of profit or made no profit, then you cannot deduct from your taxes and you cannot report for a further year. Meaning that if you are in country where on services they impose you withholding tax, if you don't have taxes on the profit to pay in Belgium, you have to include this withholding taxes in your cost price, because otherwise it's in deduction from your income. So that's for intellectual services. So normally intellectual services, except in country where there is withholding tax, and I told you in European Union that's only Greece and Bulgaria. Otherwise, you have some non-intellectual services. And not non-intellectual services, what is it for? That's activities like maintenance, repair, building, and so on, meaning that your company is active on another market of European Union. And with your Belgian VAT registration, you cannot do this foreign inside European Union, as well as for B2B, business to business, as well as B2C. So meaning that a company that is involved in non-intellectual services abroad in European Union, they have to apply for a foreign VAT number in the country of the client and follow the rules imposed by the authorities to local company. So, for example, you are a Belgian company and you want to perform this kind of services. So you will have to comply with the VAT of the country of the client, but you will have also, if some of your workers go abroad, to comply with the social and social security laws. So, for example, in Belgium, if it was opposite, a foreign company of the European Union who send workers in Belgium, normally they have to declare this worker through the system Limosa. So outside of European Union, you will have the same thing. So you have to take care to this. Take care also to online services, because it can be sales of goods. So if you do e-commerce on B2C basis, so the people buy on your website, I know that it's not really services, but let's say it's understood like services. When you buy from Amazon, let's say, that's a platform where you go, and that's a kind of services because they provide you goods from others. And so this kind of sales, you must comply with the VAT rule of the clients, meaning that if you sell online to private customer, you have normally to be registered at the VAT in the country of the consumer. So perhaps you already noticed when you go on e-commerce website, some of the e-commerce website does not have some country of the European Union. For example, Luxembourg is not in every e-commerce website. Why? Because the market is only 600,000 inhabitants, and they have no interest to do all this paperwork, all this obligation towards the fiscal authority in Luxembourg, only to sell to 600,000 people. So if you deal with some software, for example, that's a touchy matter. And of course, you can also be involved in these rules also. It depends really about the kind of software, where they are located and so on. that you deliver. So meaning if you sell some, let's say, programs that will be downloaded on the computer of the client, that's different than if the client go to your computer system, let's say, and all the data are in your computer system. I'm not the most competent specialist in this thing. So let's say if you deal with that kind of services, it's worth to go to people who know all these rules and take care that's fiscal rules. So sometimes some people advise about how to build the thing, but they forget the fiscal aspects. So we have now finished the part in European Union. So I propose you 5 minutes breaks. And if some of you have some question during this time, of course, I'm ready to answer to it.
Yes, thank you, Vincent. You spoke about taxation. How in some countries there is a taxation of services that are made by Belgian companies. Can be a high taxation. We speak about 10% in Morocco, 30% in Brazil. I think you know that in Singapore there is also this kind of tax. How can we have a view on this?
So taxation? Let's say the normal way is to find somebody local who can advise you. Can be somebody from hub.brussels, for example, or the chancellor that we have foreign. But let's say, of course, if you need this information quickly, and let's say if you are able to read it, I give you a link. So let's say it's not included in my slide, and I will not integrate my slide because that's Chinese.
Yeah.
So if you go in Google, you can type Ernst & Young International Tax Guide. Google know it. So if you go into this, you have the link International Tax Guide. I hope that I have a good one here. Worldwide Corporate Tax Guide on the left. And that's, let's say, a document that you can download in PDF. So you have the map of the world here. And you were speaking about Morocco. So you go on Morocco. And you download the tax guide. So it's ready. So now you download everything. So if I have an advice to all our friends there, is if you are active internationally, you download one time this on your computer, because perhaps one day you need it. So I try to find Morocco. Yeah, okay. So nearly all the countries in the world are there. If a country is missing, that's because there is no organized or structurized fiscal system. So you will understand then that it's when you have a fiscal system that's already difficult to know exactly all the rules, If there are nothing published, it's really
complicated, yeah.
And so, of course, except if you have good reason to go in a such country, that's not a good thing. Myanmar, must be around here. So we to take a little time.
Morocco, yeah, I saw it. You passed it.
Ah, yes,
it was both. It was both, yeah.
Montenegro. Montenegro, Morocco. Here we are. So I enlarge.
Yeah.
So you need to be a little familiar with all these things to understand. That's not so easy. So here you have all the corporate tax. So let's say 31 and so on. And here you have a withholding tax.
Okay.
And of course, they are speaking about dividend. Dividend, that's not our business, because dividend, that's when you have subsidiaries. Interest, that's for banks and so on, that's not. But here we have royalties, scientific know-how, technical assistance fee, remuneration for most services. So you have 10% here on this specific, okay? You have some 30 for others, but let's say here, withholding for royalties, that's 10%. Okay. If it's salary and so on, that's 30. If you rent things in Morocco, that's 10%. So here, let's say we do this, technical assistance, for example. Technical assistance, normally, if I do intellectual services, that means that I don't integrate, let's say, I don't install a machine, I don't repair a machine, I say to somebody what he has to do. That's a kind of technical assistance. At this condition, I have 10%, and you have an E here, so you have to go there, and they explain to you what is this E. And now you have some double treaty. I'm in Mozambique, sorry. I'm back in Morocco. So here you have a double withholding tax treaty with Belgium. What does it mean? So let's say there are 10% withholding tax in Morocco, and there is a double tax treaty, meaning that if you have enough taxes to pay for the same fiscal year in Belgium, you can deduct what has been withheld by your client to pay the Morocco fiscal authorities. So once again, you have 10% on 1,000, for example, 100. You have 0 to pay as taxes on the income of a company in Belgium. Belgium will not allow to refund you the 100, meaning that in this case, that's in your, that will be in your price. If you have to pay in Belgium 200 income tax on your profit, then you will pay only 100.
Yeah. Nice.
I hope that it's clear, my explanation.
Yeah, it's clear, and so it's quite important to have a view on this before selling services. knowing that there is a double taxation treaty, it's quite important. And Vincent, we have questions that are on our screen questions. I don't know if you have access to it. There is one question regarding jewelry, and maybe we can answer it.
I didn't understand what you told. You say which product?
It's jewelry that is sold in the UK. What are the rules for labeling and packaging for jewelry? I don't understand really good. And what would be the imported taxes after the Brexit? This is something we can't do at this stage. What will be the level of taxation? Yeah.
Just one moment. So, if you ask me this, I have a simple answer to you, but to give you the simple answer, first, I need to know the custom code of your product. Yeah. So, if you can give me the custom code of your product, then I can help you without any problem. So, like the 1806 that I use for chocolate.
Yeah.
If you are not able to give me this, I'm sorry, I'm not specialist in jewelry, and jewelry that's also gold, that's sometimes with diamond, that's sometimes with other things. So if I don't know your product and your classification, I cannot answer. But if you give me at a moment during this seminar the code, I can tell you what would be after Brexit the customs duties on this product. Why? Because when England, let's say United Kingdom, will leave the territory of custom union without agreement, so if there is no agreement, that's the 1st January at midnight 1 minute, then the rules of the World Commerce Organization will apply. And we know already what are the duties to pay for a product to enter in England according to these rules.
Okay.
So let's say if this gentleman or this lady has the custom code, let's say I will try to have by the end of the seminar. If not, they have my data, so they can send an email. I will try to answer to them.
To Eugenia, it would be good should we have the code so we can have a view on the taxation of the jewelry you would like to export to the UK, providing there is no agreement. We have another question: are the intellectual services that we mentioned and the taxation we spoke about? We speak always about B2B relation. What's the clue when it regards service to customers
this you have to apply for a VAT obligatory. Why?
You have to apply
to a VAT number in the country of destination inside European Union. Why? Because, let's say, intellectual services for, let's say, when you do on B2B, your client has a VAT number and you exempt him from VAT in Belgium, but when he receives your invoice, he pays the VAT to his state member because he's a business body. So he can do it. If you don't have a business in front of you, let's say you need to collect the VAT for the state of the consumer, because the consumer does not have a VAT number, so meaning that he cannot pay directly to the state. So for intellectual services, so for example, I don't know, you do advising about, let's say, the insulation of houses. You do it in Belgium, and you invoice with Belgian VAT. You want to do it in the Netherlands, we are admitting that there is no specific rules in the Netherlands. So you are a Belgian company, you want to do this for Dutch private. You need to bill Dutch VAT. And for this, you have to register at the VAT administration in Holland at the name of a Belgian company. You don't have to create a subsidiary. You can do it. A European Union company can have VAT number in the other state members. It's also valid outside, but it's a little more difficult. But in European Union, due to European rules, you can have it.
Okay, nice. So we still have the last question for this first part. It regards the EORI number. We spoke last time about the EORI number that you need to have to sell products outside the European Union. How can we apply for this?
So just I show you. So I'm sorry I cannot do it in English because this part is not in English.
Yeah.
So of course you have a Belgian VAT number. Okay, if you don't have a VAT number, you cannot do it. So you simply go here, formulas on the website, and you are located in Belgium. So that's the first one. The other is if it's somebody, if it's a company from another European Union number. So that's here. So you have the formula. So easy to fill. Your VAT number, the name of your company, the name of your the code of a country is already given. You put who is asking, the person of a company who has this. So that must be somebody who is legally representative of a company. Plus, you put the name of a contact person who deals with this, for example, the accountant. And then here, you authorize that's your EORI number when people in other countries of European Union have a look if you are EORI or not, for example, customs agent, to see your name or not. You sign here. And important, that's not difficult, you scan and you send by email. The fastest I saw is less than 24 hours for answer. And that's mandatory that they do it within 1 month. But most of the time, in less than 1 week and sometimes less than 1 day, it's done. If you have not yet an EORI number, for example, to commercialize jewelry in UK, you were only dealing in European Union, your number is not EORI. It is highly recommended to do it now, let's say after the seminar. Because
and how much time does it take to have the number activated?
So I told you, let's say when they give it to you, it's already activated.
Yeah, but the time to give it to the time between filling the form and having the thing done.
I told
how much
you,
time?
Less than 1 day, sometime.
Okay, sorry.
1 month.
Okay, nice.
But in practice, less than 1 week.
1 week. Okay. Thank you, Vincent. We make 3-minute pause, and then we go back for the second part. Okay.
Okay, fine.
See you.
See you.
Yes, Vincent.
We are back.
Time is up. We are back. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm online.
Yes, you're online.
Okay. So welcome back to everybody. So now we are in the second part of this seminar, and we are now looking to dealing outside European Union. So remember, European Union is a single customs territory. So there is not a custom territory of Belgium, there is not a custom territory of Germany. 27 European Union member and also United Kingdom till the 31 of December are member of a custom territory of European Union. If you go outside European Union, even if there are free trade agreements, for example, between Canada, United States and Mexico, that's still three different custom territory. In European Union, only one. So if you want to deal outside European Union with products, first thing now, it is mandatory. When I was inside European Union, I needed sometimes, but it's not really mandatory. Some people live without knowing it. But to go outside European Union, I need the custom classification of my product. And now we will have a look on the Belgian custom side. So let's say when you deal with a product, you always think that you can have problems with the customs foreign. That's not true, because you have a custom controls before the goods leave Belgium and the European Union. So meaning that first step is to do an export custom clearance at the customs where your company is located. So normally if you are in Brussels, you have to go to do your custom clearance at the customs office in Brussels. Of course, this can be done in various ways. We will speak later about all this, but let's say that's the principle. So normally, when you are a company located in Brussels, 19th, let's say, district of Brussels, you cannot do your custom clearance in Antwerp. You cannot do your custom clearance at the airport in Zaventem. I know that practically it is done, but that's not the rules. So why you have to go to the customs to do an export custom clearance? First thing that will interest you if you are a company manager, when you deal with professional outside European Union, the invoice will be exempted from Belgian VAT. And that's not because you sell goods to a Marocan company, to an Argentinian company, or to a Chinese company, that there is no Belgian VAT. You need to prove that the goods left the customs territory of European Union. And to do so, you have to do an export custom clearance. So first use is to have a paper to, let's say, keep in your accountancy to prove that the goods left European Union. That's not because you sell to an Argentinian that the goods left European Union. So the custom is there for this, to control this. Second thing, not all the goods can be sold everywhere. But there are some restrictions relating to some goods, weapons, for example, and there are some restrictions for some countries. And there are also some restrictions to some products because of their nature. So, for example, I was dealing for a company in Walloon Brabant, and they do think in steel. But there are some specific steel, let's say, used by the phosphate industry in Morocco. And at the Belgian customs, you cannot export this kind of product. That's steel without a license. Why? Because this kind of steel is also used in the weapon industry. So let's say your client, they used this product because they are in phosphate industry, highly corrosive, but this type of steel is also used to do weapon. So Belgian authorities and European Union authorities want to control the exit of this kind of product and want to be sure that it's not for a destination in war, or that will not be used by an industry without permission and so on. So this is controlled. So I give you example. So now we are on the website of the customs. Once again, sorry, I cannot put it in English because only a part is in English, and so it's a problem. So you don't know the code of your product, you go in a textual research. So you do chocolate, once again, easy product. And here you have the classification of the chocolate in Belgium. Of course, you need to know your product. Have a look here. You have in total 17 pages of product, and each time they describe it. So let's say I will try. So chocolate confectionery, partially or totally recover with chocolates and so on. So you have to find exactly your product to have this code. And for example, if you deal with machine to do chocolate, you find it also. So I go on that one. I think that's the same we take. Yes. So praline, with alcohol, without alcohol. And let's say here you have some rules. And so if it was at import, that's all this. But you are not in import, you are at export. So now I will take this customs tariff and I will have a look if there are some restrictions. So the code of my goods is this one, and I do export. And here you have origin country or destination. That's not very friendly, but you have to put the destination country. So I want to send my pralines to Japan. And I will have a look if to exit Belgium, there are, let's say, some rules to comply toward the Belgian authorities. And so here you see there is nothing. There is no restriction for this. I change the product, and of course I will take a difficult country. So I type a product that I know that cause problem, and I change country with a country with problems as well. Somebody told about this country last week, so if he's still here, he can be attentive. So let's say now that's industrial product. Let's say that's some product to cool, let's say, steam in process, in power plants and so on. This is my product. So here I am. Sorry, I mistake. Here I am. And I'm here. So you have in total 10 digits. And I'm in Greece, and I'm in Iran. So here you need authorization for exportation, dual use, meaning that if you want to export these goods to Iran, you need an authorization to export, meaning a license. And to have that license, there are some rules. And the rules, they are here. That's very difficult. So let's say to do the thing simple, normally you have to do to a customs agent, but you need to know the custom code of your product and the country of destination. So here, for example, you have a rule, DU006. And here you have a reference in the list of Ws. So 0B001C. And this you have to go at the level of a region. So I know the system in Walloon region. So 0B001C. I don't know if there is the same for Brussels region or if there is some subcontract to Walloon region. So you are here, goods dual use. You have the list of control, and here you have two lists that you have to check. And you have to go in all these figures. So I see 00 something. So you see here, you have this kind of reference. And it's listed here what is forbidden to be exported or what has to be checked closely by the license department. So if your goods are not referring to what I saw at the site of the customs, you need a paper to go through the custom, but you will go through. If it's restricted, so for example, here that's Iran and they speak about nuclear things and so on, for sure you cannot exit this from Belgium. So, of course, you will tell me, oh, this kind of thing, that's not for me, I don't do this. Somebody speak about jewelry. There are some rules about diamonds. I had an experience one time. I sent a cooling equipment in Israel. And in the details of the custom find only a small joint, let's say in rubber joint, but it was a specific rubber joint. And it was in this list of dual use. So only for, let's say, a small package, 100 grams, 200 grams on tons, I had to fill a license paper and so on to be able to exit. Okay? So I show you what is around you. So of course you cannot be specialist of all this. So you need some partners and so on. And that's not that you have to come to me. Let's say I can use it, but I'm not the person who deal usually with this. So you have some customs agent or custom broker. You have to enter into contact with one of them, explain to him your product, your destination of your product, and then they can tell you if there are some requirements or not. So you know your custom code, HS code. We saw how to see things, but also you need to be able to do documentation. If we are inside the European Union, there is no border. You load a truck, you give a sheet of paper of what you sent, you sign a transport document, and it can go to another place in Europe, except some specific cases. But even if you want to send nearly nothing outside the European Union, you need to do what? An invoice, because the customs need to know the value of your product. You need to go, a packing is describing what you are selling, and if required, sanitary, phytosanitary certificate, and some other certificate for some kind of products. So this is to exit Belgium. Take care now. We will go to the other side. So your client side. So for you, you sell in Europe, let's say, we admit that you sell the goods and you place it on pallets like this, you can load on trucks. This pallet inside Europe, that's very common. Yes, but when you exit Europe, there are some specific rules, including regarding this pallet sometimes. I will show you just after. So in the country of destination, there are some packing requirements. So I give you an example. Saudi Arabia is well known to produce petroleum products, but they forbid now more and more to have some plastic components to do the packaging. So they want a specific product and they are alone to produce it. So meaning that if you want to sell to Saudi Arabia something that usually you packed with some plastic material, you will have to buy, let's say, packaging products fitting with Saudi requirement. Other example, Rwanda forbid all the use of plastic in packaging. So let's say you have to find other things. You have also, let's say, to comply with norm of the country of destination. So once again, I give you example. For every finished or semi-finished product in Russia, you need a certificate that you comply with the norms of Russia. And this certificate, for some product, you can have it in Belgium through authorized agency, for example, SGS in Antwerp. But for some other products, you need to do it locally in Russia. So we will see how to know all this. I will do it just when I finish this. You can be required to present some national authorization for some products. Mostly, let's say, all what is concerning health standard for food and medicine. We already spoke about it in the European Union, and for safety standards in the European Union. Take care that you need to comply with the labeling, content, and language imposed in the country. We are outside the European Union. And there are in some countries some bio-organic rules if you deal with such products. So once again, we go back to the website access to market. So the same product as I do for Iran, I do it for Russia. So that's a product made in Belgium. And I go to Russia. So that's heat exchanger. That's my product. And in Russia, there is only 6 figures for this. So now we are in a country where there are some custom duties to pay to enter Russia, or not to pay. So for my product, heat exchanger, that's 0% custom duties. So there are no custom duties to pay. And here, that's MFN, so that's relating to OMC, World Trade Organization. So just for your information, that's like this, that I will know the custom duties for a product in England later on, United Kingdom. So here, I have all the definition of a product. And now I go to procedure and formalities. Overview, like I do it for Bulgaria. So let's say lots of rules for different topics, not specific to my product in Russia. So you can have a lot of information here. And always at the end, it was at the end before, but it's not anymore. Remember, we speak about pallets. And in Europe, you buy some Euro pallets somewhere and you send to Italy, to wherever, no problem. You are dealing with Russia. With Russia, all wood packaging material must comply with the ESPM 15 norm. That means that it must be wood treated or fumigated or heat treatment, meaning that if you place your goods on the same pallet, cheap pallet, not treated, that you do in European Union, your goods can be blocked at the custom in Russia because you are not complying with wood packaging material norms. So here, that's all what is around you in Russia, not specific to your product. Now you know that you have to do some documents. So for example, you have to do some invoices to go in Russia in order that your goods enter in Russia. And in Belgium, the invoice, that's the accounting who do this. Accounting Belgian rules. Here are the minimum content of an invoice for goods to be sent to Russia. So, of course, in Belgium, you don't have necessarily all this in your invoice. So you need to adapt it according to the country where you do. More important, the commercial invoice may be prepared in any language. That's good, you do it in English. However, a translation into Russian is recommended. They recommend, as it is necessary for custom clearance. So if you send goods in Russia with documents in English, you will not go through the custom in Russia. So even myself, I do invoice in Russia for this kind of, or in Russian for this kind of operation. It's not the topic of the day, but there are some other documents here. And later on, we will speak about the origin of a product and the document that you need for this. So that will be in the next seminar. And of course, they speak about all the documents that are around you. So if you don't know what is a packing list that I mentioned just before for the Belgian customs, they explain you what is a packing list, and they show you a sample of what has to be filled in a packing list. So till now, we were speaking about general things, general documents, but you have some specific documents. Specific documents are the documents that are linked with your product. So for example, here you have a certificate of conformity. I'm in the 84, 1950. So here that's only for the 20. Don't be happy too fast. Now there is the second one, and in the second one it applies to me. 1950. So here is the document that you need and how to have it. So let's say without this document, and you see that there are lots of things to fill. So here, that's the request to have this document, and then after you will receive a search document. That's only with this document that the goods will be allowed to go through the customs in Russia. You say yes, but Vincent, let's say he deals with this kind of very sensitive product and so on. So I go back to chocolate because the Russian like also the chocolates. So here I have to select the code for Russia. So here, on my chocolates, I have 10% custom duties. And of course, let's say they give some comments. In the procedure and formalities, what will be important, because it arrives in the hand of the consumer, is to know the labeling of my product. So here, that's the rules for alimentary product that I have to comply as well. And at the moment, we will find so they have some rules regarding the country of origin. So it has to be declared. And you have the packaging, marking, labeling requirement. That's all the rules of Russia that you have to comply with according to your product. So we are in foodstuff. Here are the elements that you have to put on your packages. Let's say the package that arrive in the hand of the final consumer. And in the specific product, there are less. It's the same as for my product. So you deal with chocolates or you deal with industrial products, you will have to do the same procedure in a different way because that's chocolate. If I change the country of destination, then I have a rules which are in Japan. I select one. And I have the rules here according Japan. So for example, for Japan, I need an authorization for foreign foodstuff manufacturer, meaning that I have to comply here with a different norm than in Russia. I have to comply with HACCP. So with this website, you can know lots of things about how to enter in a foreign market according to the rules of the market. So of course the consumer told you that they like this product, like this, like this, like this, but you need to know to which norm, which standards, which rule you have to comply in the market of your clients. If we are now dealing with intellectual services, that's exactly the same as inside European Union, except that, as I show you in the Ernst & Young, you would be well advised to see if there are no withholding tax covering your products, your services, let's say, because we are outside European Union and it's an exception in European Union, only 2 countries on 27. But outside European Union, it depends from country to country, and there are several ones that are applying on different type of services. So they tell clearly when they do this withholding tax. So you have to go through. I do this work for a biotech company in Nivelles, and of course I take 2 or 3 days, let's say, just to see, according to what they do, the tax exposition that they have in different countries relating to their services. And if it's non-intellectual services, that's the same thing as I explained for European Union. So no, you cannot install, no, you cannot repair, no, you cannot do maintenance in a country foreign of a European Union without that you keep respect of all the rules there, meaning perhaps you will have a VAT number somewhere. I had one time for one company I was dealing with in New Zealand. So let's say, once again, the network of hub.brussels, if you know your area, let's say, meaning the countries and your type of services, could help you if you can explain exactly what you are looking for. And of course, if you want to avoid this exposure, through our export talk number 3, we were speaking about, let's say, the distribution network. So the distribution channel that you have to choose. And of course, some of the intermediaries in the distribution channel can solve your problem, and then they will do the services for you and you are not anymore exposed. So be aware also, if you deal with some services, that outside European Union, some foreign company cannot enter or even ban from some kind of businesses that are only allowed to local actors, meaning public markets, sensitive sectors, and so on. And in some countries, you have to know the use. I give you an example. In Malaysia, on public markets, public tender, let's say there are a rule for a kind of Malaysian company, and there is a rule for Malaysian company, and there is a rule for foreigner. And what is the rule for some kind of Malaysian company? If it's a Malaysian Muslim who ruled a company in Malaysia, let's say that's defined as a Boniputra, and even if they are in competition with another Malaysian company ruled, for example, by a Chinese ethnic, or with a foreign company, even if the price is higher or the quality less, they will have a priority because it's a rule in Malaysia. So if there is a company ruled by a Boniputra and you know that they are your competitors, take care. So that's a local rule that you can face there. So what you have to always take care about your products inside and outside European Union, so you will understand, I spent enough time about this. Custom classification in 6 digits. In Belgium, there are 10. In European Union, the same. But 6 digits are common worldwide. So you really need to know the 6 first digits of your product. After, we can have a look. Product composition of your product. Are your component ingredients fitting targeted markets in terms of authorization? I give you an example in the European Union. Electrical appliances require CE conformity labeling in European Union. While, for example, in Saudi Arabia, trace of pork or alcohol are forbidden in food products. And of course, there is a certificate to provide about this. So if you know that you are not matching with a requirement, try to find another market, targeted market. Are your product and or your packaging fitting transport condition and storage during transit and storage in the destination country? We speak about chocolate. If you exceed to a little more than 20 degrees, that's not the same as if it's under 20 degrees. And of course, chocolate also cannot be stored in too cold place because otherwise they become white. So let's say all this has to be taken into account. I always speak about chocolate because that's easy to understand, because otherwise I take example of my products and so on, industrial product, but that's less easy to understand. Use of consumers in the country of destination. So for example, our family, let's say, more numerous than in Belgium. I give you an example, washing machine in Vietnam. If you want to sell there the same machine as in Belgium, nobody will be interested, because average family in Vietnam, you have several generations, and of course you have regularly 10 people. So a standard washing machine in Vietnam is twice the capacity in Belgium minimum. So you will not find any washing machine the same sizing as in Belgium. That's valid in some European countries as well. There are some European countries where the family are bigger than in Belgium, and of course on Asian market, on some African market as well. Where do the consumer do their shopping for kind of product that you sold in the destination markets? I'm very surprised by the reality in Bulgaria. If you go in Lidl in Belgium, you don't have the impression that you are in a place where there are some clients with large revenue. Of course, some people go into that, but normally they go to other place. If you compare to the level of Bulgaria, the people that have money, that's trendy to go to a Lidl there. Why? Because a Lidl is already a modern way of selling goods and so on, and people with money go there, and they don't go anymore on markets and so on, in the streets and so on, because it's old-fashioned. In Belgium, that's totally opposite. If you go in a Lidl, it's cheaper. If you go in a market, that's more trendy and so on, so the prices are higher. In Bulgaria, totally opposite. In supermarket, average price of a product is double than on the market. You have to take care, of course, of the impact of this on your distribution channel. So that's not because you sell product in a way in Belgium that you will send in the same way in another country. So have a look to the previous seminar. Packaging compliance with labeling requirements. Once again, an example. In Vietnam, there are some Belgian beers, and they are labeled directly in Vietnamese when they are produced in Belgium. And Vietnamese like this. In some countries, that's even mandatory. But in many countries, a foreign product, you put sticker on it. Most of the countries accept this, some forbid it. But for example, in Bulgaria, if a product is already labeled in Bulgarian, people are not keen to buy it because they are fearing that you produce specially for Bulgaria and that the quality is not the same as in the origin country of a product. So they prefer to see the origin products done live for Belgium, for example, and have a sticker on it. Also, what you have to do to take care is about the image of your products according to the local realities. So in Belgium, we are quite special because some products, like chocolate, can be sold very cheap. But when you go to other country, the same product, modified sometimes because of the ingredients and so on, they are much more expensive. So I give you the example. In Belgium, you buy pralines in box. In Vietnam, that's sold by piece. Why? Because first, it's much more expensive, so only people with money buy it. Second, they don't eat so much chocolate as us. They don't like too much the very sweet things. And third, you cannot keep the box during 1 or 2 weeks. So let's say they buy it in smaller quantities. Regarding the services now, crossing border is easy to perform some kind of services, but rules are imposed to companies. Always respect fiscal rules. Of course, you need to be aware. So if you want to do services abroad, you have to take care about the fiscal rules applicable to your services. Otherwise, supplier risk what? You say, oh, I don't care, I can go there, nobody will see it. But sometimes the authorities impose to the client to check if you are correctly registered, if you fill your obligation in the country. Otherwise, they cannot pay you for it. So take care of this. Always respect social rules and obligations when sending for workers foreign to avoid border problems at arrival or departure. A worker is not a tourist, so it is required to have a business visa in most of the countries outside European Union to perform services. I give you an example. Some years ago, I had to do an inspection in a port in Vietnam. And of course, I entered Vietnam with a tourist visa. But to access the port, it was mandatory for a foreigner to have a business visa. So if I didn't find an arrangement, I cannot do my duty in Vietnam. Imagine that you have paid plane ticket, go and back, plus expenses and so on, not to be able to perform your job. So you need to take care about this. Try to find a good local partner in the targeted market who will be able to reduce your legal exposure, legal and fiscal, as they will act as seller locally and will have a distribution agreement with your company. So even for services, there are some logical of intermediaries. To conclude today, selling abroad requires that the supplier intending to do so have ability to understand the use and the rules of the targeted market, to offer products and services that are not only fitting with a consumer requirement, but also by distribution channel, and of course, obligation imposed by the authorities. So that's all for today. If you have still additional questions, feel free to ask it, and if I can be of help, let me know.
Thank you, Vincent. It was very, very clear and very interesting. We are quite behind of the schedule. I don't know how I have to say. So there is one question.
Yes.
How can a company be sure of its custom code? Is there a way to be sure that the custom code a company uses for its products are?
So that's a funny question because I had to answer this morning for a company. So I show you immediately. One moment. Once again, sorry in French because in English, this morning I tried for a company in English, but it was not good. So still in my Google. So here you have a link. renseignements tarifaires contraignants. So let's say, if really you need it, if it's evident, chocolate is chocolate, okay? But I deal with some biotech equipment and so on, that's not easy. So here you have a link with a website of the customs. It's available. Where is the language? Normally you can select the language somewhere. So they explain you how is it and how to ask it. If it's a simple product, there are some customs agent, very quickly they can tell you. I can do also for some products, but for some product I don't find it because I don't know enough of the product. But if you have a company dealing with the product,
it regards frozen food prepared. Did you have experience in this in this field?
because I have to do it. So let's say to do it, you need the technical data sheet of the product, can be chocolate or a machine. You know exactly what are the ingredients, what is inside the machine, and so on. And you follow this step, and or they validate a custom code that you give. You say, I find my product, but I'm not sure that it is. Or let's say they give you a custom code. And the big advantage of this is that they give you an official paper, meaning that for your further custom operation, nobody at the customs in Belgium can say that your product is another code.
But there is the issue in Belgium is not that much a problem, but here it regards products that will be imported in Southern Korea.
So let's say, I fully understand what you say. But if you have an official paper from Belgium, from the custom authorities, often it solves the matter because the 6 digits are common worldwide. So if Belgian custom classify this and you have an official paper, it's always good, let's say, to convince the other country.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you said to have a EORI number, it was 1 week, let's say, normally. To have such a confirmation by the Belgium custom that the custom code is correct, how long does it take, do you think?
This is small. If you need to follow this, let's say they have 6 months to answer to you. 6 or 4, I don't know, but it's a matter of month, not of day, not of week.
Okay, a month. Okay.
So you introduce this, they do the examination, and if they have things, additional information needed, they ask you during the procedure. But this procedure take, let's say, some month.
I will forward you the data of the company, and so because there's something that is blocking the process. They really want to have a view, and if you have some expertise to help them rapidly, it would be good. So I will ask the company to contact
South Korea.
That's for South Korea,
yeah. Do they have something else than an EORI number? Because there is a problem also with South Korea, because let's say there was a special number for South Korea, and if you don't have the special number, the client has to pay the custom duties, even if there is a free trade agreement.
So I will ask the company to contact you directly if you could help them, because it's quite specific. Okay, so
please, if you can give me the mobile number of a person, because only by mail for this kind of thing.
I'll do this. I'll ask. I'll give you the mobile number. So we are around for this this webinar. Next week, we'll see you again, Vincent, for the cost price. So see you next week. Thank you for the attendance, and thank you, Vincent, for this webinar. See you next week. Bye bye. Ciao.
See you next week. Bye bye.